From courtside drama to behind-the-scenes scandals, the NBA's biggest finds tell stories of power, pride, and the price of breaking the rules. Today, we're diving into the most expensive penalties ever handed down in NBA history. $10 million, $3.5 million, $2.5 million. These aren't player contracts. They're the price tags for some of the most controversial moments in basketball history. But behind each fine lies a story that changed the NBA forever. These are the 5 largest fines in NBA history. Number 5. Cuban's tanking admission, $600,000, 2018. Mark Cuban's relationship with NBA fines has become almost legendary, but his 2018 penalty stands out as particularly significant. During an appearance on Julius Dr. J. Irving's podcast, the Dallas Mavericks owner did something few sports executives would dare. He pulled back the curtain on one of the NBA's most controversial practices. The Mavericks were struggling through a difficult season, sitting at 18-40 when Cuban made his fateful appearance on the podcast. In startling candor, he recounted a dinner with his players. "I'm probably not supposed to say this, but losing is our best option." The comment sent shockwaves through the league office. Here was an owner not just hinting at, but openly admitting to tanking, the practice of intentionally losing games to improve draft position. The context behind Cuban's comments made them even more explosive. The 2018 NBA draft class was projected to be one of the strongest in years, featuring future stars like Luka Doncic and Trae Young. For struggling teams like the Mavericks, a high draft pick could mean the difference between years of mediocrity and a potential dynasty. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who had made maintaining competitive integrity one of his primary missions, couldn't let such a blatant admission go unpunished. The $600,000 fine wasn't just about punishing Cuban, it was about sending a message to every owner and executive in the league that even discussing tanking publicly would come to severe consequences. However, in a characteristic fashion, Cubans turned the fine into an opportunity. While accepting the punishment, he matched the fine amount with charitable donations, continuing his tradition of transforming NBA penalties into community benefits. The Maverick owner even joked that he was happily paying the fine because it meant people were paying attention to his team. Number 4. The Mavs tanking fine, $750,000, 2023. In the high-stakes world of NBA basketball, few decisions have been as controversial as the Dallas Mavericks' choice in April 2023. With the season hanging in the balance and playoff hopes still mathematically alive, the Mavericks made a move that would send shockwaves through the league and ultimately lead to one of the largest fines in NBA history. On April 7, 2023, just hours before a crucial game against the Chicago Bulls, the Mavericks dropped a bombshell. The team announced that Kyrie Irving, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, Maxi Kleber, and Christian Wood would all miss the game due to various reasons ranging from rest to injury recovery. But the controversy didn't stop there. Their superstar Luka Doncic would play just one possession into the second quarter before being benched, while rookie Jaden Hardy mysteriously disappeared after halftime. The Mavericks were strategically choosing to lose. This wasn't just any regular season game, it was an elimination game that could have kept their playoff hopes alive. The decision wasn't made in a vacuum, it was a calculated move with a specific goal in mind. By securing a loss, the Mavericks would maintain their position in the draft lottery, ensuring their pick would stay in the top 10 and wouldn't be conveyed to the New York Knicks as part of a previous trade. The NBA's response was swift and unprecedented. Joe Dumars, the NBA's executive vice president, didn't mince words. The Dallas Mavericks' decision to restrict key players from fully participating in an elimination game last Friday against Chicago undermined the integrity of our sport, he declared. For Mavericks owner Mark Cuban, who had already accumulated roughly $4 million in fines since purchasing the team in 2000, this $750,000 penalty would become the largest single fine during his tenure as owner. Number 3. The Sterling ban, $2.5 million, 2014. In April 2014, the NBA faced one of its darkest moments when TMZ released recordings of LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling making racist comments. The recordings, captured during a conversation with his girlfriend, V. Stiviano, revealed Sterling expressing discriminatory views that would send shockwaves through the entire sports world. The response from players was immediate and powerful. In their first playoff game after the recording surfaced, the Clippers players staged a silent protest removing their warm-up jerseys and leaving them at center court, revealing black shirts underneath. Stars from across the league, including LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, spoke out forcefully against Sterling's comments. Within days, the business impact became clear. Major sponsors, including State Farm, Kia Motors, and Virgin America, began pooling their support from the Clippers. The team's marketability was in freefall, and the pressure on the NBA to take decisive action mounted with each passing hour. Then came April 29, 2014, a date that would go down in NBA history. In what many considered the defining moment of his early tenure as commissioner, Adam Silver stepped to the podium and delivered a message that would reshape the league's power structure forever. Effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA. Silver announced, his voice unwavering. The $2.5 million fine, the maximum allowed under the NBA constitution at the time, was just the beginning. The aftermath would transform the Clippers franchise. Former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer purchased the team for a then record $2 billion, ushering a new era for the organization. The Sterling incident, while deeply troubling, had ultimately led to positive change, setting a precedent for how professional sports league could address issues of discrimination and racism at their highest levels. Number 2. The Timberwolves' secret deal. $3.5 million, 2000. In the year 2000, the Minnesota Timberwolves orchestrated what they believed was the perfect plan to build a contender around superstar Kevin Garnett. Instead, they found themselves at the center of the NBA's biggest salary cap scandal, resulting in unprecedented penalties that would haunt the franchise for years to come. The story begins with Joe Smith, the former #1 overall pick in the 1995 NBA draft. Despite never quite living up to his draft position, Smith was still a valuable player who commanded significant market interest. But in 1999, he mysteriously signed with the Timberwolves for just $1.75 million, a fraction of his market value. Behind closed doors, the Timberwolves had orchestrated an elaborate scheme. The team had secretly promised Smith a future contract worth $86 million, but there was a catch. First, he would need to sign 3 consecutive one-year deals at below market rates. This maneuver would allow Minnesota to acquire Smith's bird rights, enabling them to exceed the salary cap to sign him later. It was clever, innovative, and completely illegal. When the truth emerged, NBA Commissioner David Stern's response was swift and devastating. The investigation uncovered multiple written agreements between Smith's agents and the Timberwolves, documenting the entire illegal arrangement. The league's punishment would become legendary in NBA circles. The penalties went far beyond just a $3.5 million fine. The league stripped Minnesota of 5 consecutive first-round draft picks, the most severe draft penalty ever imposed on an NBA team. Owner Glenn Taylor was suspended for a year, and Smith's contract was voided, sending him into free agency. Vice President of Basketball Operations Kevin McHale was forced to take a leave of absence, and the team's carefully crafted plans crumbled overnight. Number 1. The Sava Scandal. $10 million, 2022. The largest fine in NBA history began with a whistleblower and ended with a sale of a franchise worth billions. In November 2021, ESPN published an investigation that would shake the NBA to its core, revealing a pattern of misconduct that spanned nearly 2 decades under Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver's leadership. The investigation started quietly, but quickly gathered momentum as more than 70 current and former Suns employees stepped forward. Their stories painted a devastating picture of life inside one of the NBA's most prestigious franchises. Behind the gleaming arena and courtside glamour lay a workplace culture that had turned toxic under Sarver's leadership. For 10 months, NBA investigators conducted more than 320 interviews and examined over 80,000 documents, emails, text messages, and videos. What they found was far worse than initially reported. Sarver had used the N-word repeatedly during team meetings, made numerous inappropriate comments about female employees' appearances, and created an environment where fear and intimidation had become the norm. When NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stepped to the podium in September 2022, his message was clear and unequivocal. The league would fine Sarver $10 million, the maximum amount allowed under NBA rules, and suspend him for 1 year from all NBA and WNBA activities. But this wasn't just another fine, it was a watershed moment for a league struggling to address issues of workplace conduct and racial equality. The response from players was immediate and powerful. NBA superstars like LeBron James and Chris Paul took to social media, declaring that the punishment wasn't severe enough. Inside the Suns organization, past and present employees finally felt heard. The business world responded just as swiftly. PayPal, the team's primary sponsor, threatened to end its partnership if Sava remained involved with the team. Other sponsors began distancing themselves from the franchise. Less than a month after the fine was announced, Sava made the decision that many felt was inevitable. He would sell both the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. The estimated $4 billion sale price made the $10 million fine seem almost insignificant. But the message had been sent. The NBA would no longer tolerate leadership that failed to respect basic human dignity. What do you think about these historic NBA fines? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from NBA history.